Joining us now is President and founder of Strelmark, Hilary Fordwich. Hilary, thank you for joining us today. We're learning more about the suspected assassin of Charlie Kirk, and that is 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. Now, Utah Governor Spencer Cox has revealed that Robinson developed a leftist ideology after appearing to become increasingly radicalised in recent years. It's also been revealed that he was in a romantic relationship with a trans person who was a male transitioning to a female. Now, although investigators are not yet ready to discuss a potential motive yet, I think it's no surprise hearing that the suspect is a radical leftist.
Well, no surprise at all. And Gabriella, I will say that whatever his motives were and whatever his politics were, what he probably did not realize is that he has literally, and to quote many people who said the similar things in different ways, awoken a sleeping giant, because there have been 70, so many applications now for more on-campus turning point chapters, up to 37,000. So I think this is actually going to really spur a movement in the United States which will honor Charlie Kirk.
I think you're exactly right. I think a lot of people are waking up, and all this has done really, it has magnified Charlie Kirk's voice. And it's been amazing to see over the weekend more people attending church for the very first time, picking up a Bible for the first time, and more people around the world listening to Charlie Kirk's wisdom. Now, Donald Trump says that there are a lot of people on the left who are now under investigation following the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And he's also issued a warning to foreigners who may be celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. Listen to this.
Have you asked to start revoking the visas of the foreigners who have celebrated Charlie Kirk's death?
No, we haven't, but we are looking at names. We don't like that. That's not right. We wouldn't celebrate if something happened on their side, and we don't. These are sick people. These are really deranged people.
Hilary, I was so relieved to hear that from Donald Trump, because there are plenty of deranged people, including people right here in Australia, refusing to acknowledge Charlie Kirk's death, and some are even celebrating it. Can I get your thoughts?
Well, yes, and there's always is the violence on the left. I mean, just look, for example, after Elon Musk got involved with the election, the left were burning and setting Teslas on fire. When the right disagreed with all of the pride things and the move that Budweiser made, what did they do? They boycotted Budweiser. Nobody was burning down Budweiser factories. So this, most unfortunately, is very consistent with the liberal left, the violence, just like even after the George Floyd incidents, arson, violence everywhere. No, I think what's really important is what we mentioned just now about the opening of chapters on campuses, doing what Charlie Kirk said, which he said, form a family, work hard, and all of his very honorable, hardworking principles, providing for families, paying your taxes, and being a good law-abiding citizen.
Absolutely. And the president-elect posted several comments in a WhatsApp group, including "Charlie Kirk got shot, let's effing go," and here he is promoting violence.
To effectively create change in the world we desire. And Side Prop will argue that at times there is simply nothing else that can be required other than violent retaliation. And this is a view I wholeheartedly agree with. The view that some institutions are too broken, too aggressive, too oppressive to be reformed. Like cancers of our society, they must and they should be taken down by any means necessary.
I mean, you compare those words to the words of Charlie Kirk, someone who was promoting fighting with words, not with violence.
Yes, he promoted with words, and you're absolutely right there, not violence. And this is what was very unique about him. He did, though, not just preach to the converted, as they say the expression. He actually went to campuses where he knew that the views were totally and utterly opposed to him. And I've seen so many clips and interviews, and I'm sure your audience has too, where you're seeing him reason, and he's giving facts and he's giving information. He's not turning to violence. And I think that's a very good role model for young people, which I suspect is one of the many reasons those 37,000 new applications are for these existing chapters. And last but not least, he actually was at, and everybody should look at, when he attended Oxford University, he was actually there, and he talked to the students there, talking to them about being taking pride in their British heritage, in the foundations that the British culture has set for the world in terms of law, in terms of inventions, in terms of civilization. And instead of being, radical about it, in looking at your history and what it's brought to the world in terms of civilization.
Look, finally, Hilary, just before we move on from these psychopaths that are celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, a public school teacher in Canada has been suspended after allegedly showing a video of Charlie Kirk's assassination to students as young as 10 in his class. That's according to reports from authorities. And this teacher also suggested that Charlie Kirk deserved to be killed and gave the young students a speech about anti-fascism and transgender issues. Now, hearing those reports, I just have to agree with Vice President JD Vance here. Now, JD Vance hosted Charlie Kirk's podcast this morning in what he called a special tribute to his close friend. And JD Vance used the podcast to encourage people to go after anyone who celebrated Charlie Kirk's death and report them to their employer. Listen to this.
The entire administration is trying to do as much as possible to find everything that we can about what led to this, about how we got here, and of course, ultimately, how an assassin took Charlie's life. I wanted to zoom out with Stephen a little bit and talk about all of the ways that we're trying to figure out how to prevent this festering violence that you see on the far left from becoming even more and more mainstream. And
Hilary, what are your thoughts on what JD had to say?
Well, I totally agree with JD Vance. And with regard to the story and the teacher that you mentioned, I mean, these are 5th and 6th graders. He made them watch that violence, that assassination over and over and over again. I actually can't even think of a time when that would be appropriate for such young students, let alone the lecture that he gave them on top of that. And JD Vance is exactly right that anybody that does celebrate death on either side of the political spectrum, they should be reported to whoever they work for. I know that already there have been pilots, teachers, medical professionals that have done that have been reported. And I think it's the right thing to do because we shouldn't tolerate such violence and intolerance in any society.
Absolutely agree with you. And, you know, Charlie Kirk was calling out the deranged assassination culture that seems to exist in the far left. He was talking about this months ago, even years ago. But you mentioned, Hilary, that Turning Point USA has seen a massive surge in inquiries for new college chapters as the organisation works to advance Charlie Kirk's vision following his assassination last week. And look, would you say that his death is a bit of a turning point? I know that's become a bit of a talking point, I should say, but so many people just would love to continue the mission that he started.
Well, absolutely. And I actually would say that I think many people admired what his wife, Erica, said. And what she said was that his voice and his memory and his message will not be forgotten. And I think that, you know, we should all bear in mind what Shakespeare said, as, you know, hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. She's been scorned by this death and she is not going to let this go. And the 37,000 applications, I think absolutely, yes, prove that people are not going to let his very healthy, very law-abiding, hard-working message die. I think it's not going to die with him. In fact, it's a sleeping giant that's been awoken.
Absolutely. Look, Erica Kirk, she's absolutely incredible. I'm in awe of her. Finally, before I let you go, Donald Trump will arrive in the UK soon for his second state visit, which will also include trade talks with Keir Starmer. What else can we expect, Hilary?
Oh, yes, it's going to be rather good in terms of business for both nations. They're actually going to be talking about nuclear power that will power AI, these huge data centers that are going to be developed, which will be beneficial to both countries. They say that actually data centers use about as much electricity as New York City does in a day. So it's going to be a tremendous agreement with regard to nuclear power. And we're going to see not a carriage tour through the town of Windsor, because of course there were predicted to be some protests in Windsor and he's not going to London, but President Trump will be attending a state dinner at Windsor Castle. He will be laying a wreath for the beloved former Queen Elizabeth II. She is interned at St. George's Chapel, and there she is interned with Prince Philip, her husband, the Queen Mother, her mother, and King George VI and her sister Margaret, Princess Margaret. So President Trump will be visiting there. He will have a carriage tour with King Charles and Camilla and actually the Prince of Wales and the Princess of Wales, Catherine, through the grounds, though, of Windsor Castle, extensively with military in attendance, the RAF, all of the different services. And there will be a flyover, American flyover, UK flyover, the state dinner Wednesday night. And then he will be departing and going to Chequers, Sir Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister's home, country home in Buckinghamshire. And Princess Catherine, interestingly, will be spending some time alone with Melania, the US First Lady, and they will be visiting some Boy Scouts events and doing some things together as well.
Okay. Hilary Fordwich, President and founder of Strelmark, thank you so much for joining us.
Absolutely. Pleasure, Gabriella. Thank you.